Yo, 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 what's good, everybody? It's your boy Brandon, also known as the Georgia Picker. First and foremost, thank you guys so much for over 8,100 subscribers. Our recent video did over 3,000 views and it's still going up. So thank you guys so much for all the love and support with the likes, the comments, subscribing. I appreciate you guys from the bottom of my heart. However, today's going to be a different video. And before we get into the topic, I just want to give a big shout out to a person over on YouTube. Her name is The Nurse Flipper. She's the only one that I've actually seen that actually does this type of content, to where she'll go on eBay and look up like a certain unique item, and she'll look up like the most sold comps, like the first 20 or whatever, and the most expensive ones, and she'll just talk about them a little bit. And I think that's very, very cool and good for the reselling community. And I've just kind of taken her idea and I kind of want to do it too. So she was the first one that I noticed that actually does it. So I'm giving her the credit of doing this type of stuff. Now, again, I don't know if she's done this particular topic. I know she's done certain things with glassware to, I think, cookie jars, I believe that's one of them. But again, I'm giving her the full credit of doing this type of series. But however, I want to start doing it from time to time. Not going to be all the time, but I just think it's really cool if I get these ideas in my head and maybe I can put it into a video. So that's what we're going to be doing today. Today's topic is the top 10 vintage measuring tapes that I've sold in the past 90 days. I don't know what I did was I was sitting here and I saw my little vintage measuring tape here that we actually found in a storage unit. It's just a regular Sears Craftsman one, 5-foot one. And I was like, I wonder if I could look that up. And sure enough, I looked it up and I did not know there was some crazy money in measuring tapes. Now, I found like vintage Lufkin ones, Lufkin, and I sold those for like 20, 30 bucks. I think the most expensive one I've ever sold for was, I think, 30. And I was just like, wow, I don't think there's going to be any money. And I looked it up and I was like, wow, this is pretty crazy. And I felt like I needed to share that to you guys. So first and foremost, appreciate all the love and support. Let's get into it. All right, guys. So the first one on our list, as you guys can already tell, is pretty darn awesome. Vintage John Deere Barlo B4 tape measure, combine and field, Moscow, Idaho. So I want to say it has to do with the whole Barlow brand. I mean, obviously John Deere is highly collectible in general, but this one sold on a bid, you guys, $512 of 19 bids. That is pretty crazy. And let's see here, about 1 5/8 inches square case with a blade, 1/4 inch wide, 72 inches long. And nothing else crazy about the, the wear on it or anything like that. But that is pretty significant. Just look at the colors on that thing. That, I mean, my thing is spending $512 on a measuring tape might not be feasible for me, but there are collectors for this stuff. All right, guys. So the next one here, again, keeping that same pattern, we have a vintage John Deere tape measuring tape by Barlow. Again, I think Barlow has something significant to do with it because some of the other listings that are some of the sold comps I'm going to show you guys actually have Barlow in them as well. It's not just John Deere, but yeah, it has like the number. It says light. I don't know how to say that word. Lighty Equipment Incorporated, and again, not very big. Barlow B4. That's what it says on the bottom. So if you guys ever come across some small, and I'm assuming it's roughly this size. Yeah, so like this measuring tape here is only worth about $10 or so. But this one is not very big by no means. But again, the Barlow brand, if you guys ever see Barlow, apparently that is something to look out for. But that is a very, very cool piece. All right, next one we have here is a vintage 3-piece boxed Stanley measuring tape. It says tape 348 with caliper 136. So obviously it's a set and it has like your basic measuring tape. Then you have like the caliper piece that's in there. Then you also have like the wooden one that kind of folds out. And it says Stanley, the toolbox of the world. It's actually kind of a good slogan. Made in USA. I just don't see anything crazy special about it, in my opinion. But I guess maybe just because it's intact with the box, that possibly could be the reason why it's worth so much. But yeah, very, very cool piece. Again, this might just be sitting in there at an estate sale one day. You never know. So be on the lookout for this right here. All right, going back to the whole Barlow. This one is a vintage Barlow Suzuki snowmobile advertising tape measure. Wow, like look at that, you guys. A Suzuki measuring tape. I mean, look at the graphics on that thing. That is, I mean, that's pretty cool to see a Suzuki, and I guess that's the back. Yeah, that is the back. Wow. I wonder if they actually gave these out back in the day whenever they opened up shop and that type of stuff, and they just like, hey, here's a measuring tape. But again, it's made by Barlow. There's the box right there. They didn't show the sides of it, so I'm not sure if it's a B4 or not. According to this, it just says new, and I mean, it doesn't look new. It definitely looks like it's been used, but $200 off of 50 bids. $200. I'm just saying, this stuff's out there. Okay, so I do want to throw this in there. Now, it's not necessarily a tape measure, but this is actually a tape measure decor clock. And I've actually seen numerous of these. I didn't really want to add any of them into the mix, but this one just kind of stood out with the colors. Only sold for $199. I say only, right? But still, that's pretty awesome. But if you guys ever see clocks, this one, it says just vintage green Lux little measuring tape clock. But that is pretty awesome. It winds up on the bottom. And I don't really know exactly how it keeps the time. Maybe that little indicator right here is where the time goes. So that if it's like 10:30, it'll go over to the 10:30 mark. So I don't know, it's kind of unique, right? Nothing. I mean, it's definitely worn, and it's sold for $200. So again, measuring tape clocks. Be on the lookout for that, I guess. All right, now this one was probably one of my favorite ones, maybe exception of one other one, but it's one of my top favorite ones that I come across. This one is a Singer sewing machine tape measure from 1851 to 1951, I guess. Oh, no, I'm sorry. It says sewing services from those years. So, but either way, I love the colors. Look how bright that is. Got the gold, the blue, the red, all just flowing so well together. It's just a little pull-out tab one. And look at that. Yeah, definitely older for sure. Definitely older. Sold for $189.95. And again, that's just something, you know, I would have never thought about. I mean, I'll probably look at a measuring tape. Oh, that's so cool. Put it down, right? So I don't know. I guess, you know, again, these aren't, you know, necessarily meant to be something that you're going to find out there all the time. But just the small chance that you guys do storage units or go to estate sales or maybe liquidations. I mean, I don't really know, but if you're out there just finding, you're like, oh wow, this is really cool. I think I'm going to list it, and you're going to find out that it's worth almost $200. Okay, so this one right here is a little unique, and again, I don't really know if it's actually vintage. I mean, I guess it could be, right? This is a Coach vintage mahogany leather retractable measuring tape, and let's see, they actually have a video attached to this. Let's watch it. Oh, there you go. So they had to set it up. All right, so just showing that it does retract. Okay, very, very, very cool. It's actually kind of cool to have the video there. And again, yeah, it's leather all the way around. It is Coach, and I'm assuming it is authentic, as it did sell for $189. So does have a little bit of wear too. So Coach stuff always does sell. That's very true. Okay, so this one was probably, I don't know, it's between this one and then the Singer one. One of those is like my top. I think they're in my top two. This one right here is a vintage 6-foot Zippo copper tape measuring. It says advertising for Kennecott. I don't really know what that brand is or what exactly that is, but look at the scratches on this thing. I mean, absolutely terrible. But on the very bottom, it does have the Zippo brand name on the bottom. But I mean, just a full copper one, a copper tape measure, worn, and it's still sold for $152 on bid. Now, keep in mind too, bids, you know, it doesn't really tell you the true value of some things. I mean, if you can't find it out there, that's one thing maybe put out there for auction. But at the same time, man, sometimes you might be taking a huge pay cut if you guys do auctions. Now, there's nothing wrong with doing auctions if you already made all your money back. Like I've done auctions on certain watches that I couldn't find anywhere. Try WorthPoint, put them up for auction, and it sold for like $200. You know, the thing is, even though it sold for $152, they might even be able to put it out there for like $400 because Zippo is highly collectible, and then maybe just put best offer. But I mean, $152 for a measuring tape, assuming they might have found that out there for $1. I mean, that's pretty good in my book. All right, going back to the whole Barlow brand, we have an International Scout and Tractor Barlow advertising measuring tape. So advertising measuring tapes apparently do pretty well, I guess, depending on what it is and the colors. But it says Scout the America Others Pass By Mountain Truck and Equipment Company. Has the red and white. Is there anything on the back? There is. Okay, so there is a tractor here. A measure of our appreciation. Look at that. See, that's advertising right there. Mountain Truck and Equipment Company on the front and the back. And again, it's going to be another one small. And I'm using this as reference because it's the only thing I have. So definitely small, not anything big. There's the Barlow marking. And that's over almost $150 in 15 bids for a company I've never even heard of. But then again, that's just me. Just because I haven't heard of it doesn't mean it's not valuable. But again, I think it has to do something with specifically the Barlow brand. All right, so now this one right here was just absolutely funny, but it is a very serious deal. There are numerous sold comps on this type of stuff. And I think you could find this out there in the wild. But this is a antique Victorian pig sewing tape measure. And just look at this thing. It's literally a measuring tape that goes on the inside of the pig. And then you just pull it out and then it wraps back in. I mean, that is very unique. I mean, me finding it, I would again probably put it down, but that is pretty significant money. And look at that. You can kind of tell in between the ears. Again, I don't know if it's supposed to be like that, but the ears looks like they might be splitting a little bit. Looks like there's a hole in his forehead right there. And yeah, there's definitely some wear on it for sure. Look at that. And it's still sold for $129 for buy it now, not on bids. So that is pretty significant alone for some measuring tape. So again, I mean, be on the lookout for this type of stuff. It's just, wow, that's all I can say. Now, again, I know this isn't like one of my normal videos, but I've had a lot of people ask me, like, you know, can I be more educational? Can I try certain videos? Can I do this? Can I do that? And I think this is the first step in the right direction whenever I do have some downtime to do certain videos like this. That way you guys can potentially learn. I can definitely learn from this as well. I think this is just very cool because I never really sat down on eBay and actually looked up certain items. And you never know, you might be passing up thousands of dollars worth of items and you just don't have the knowledge yet. Doesn't mean you're dumb, doesn't mean you're stupid. It just means you're uneducated to a point, because in this business you can't learn everything. You can think that you can, but it's very hard to keep up with every single thing. So this is one of the reasons why I think this is going to be very good over here on the channel. But again, shout out to Nurse Flipper for doing this type of videos, really giving out that educational purpose for these type of videos. So again, I give her the full props for doing this idea. At least that's what I got the idea from. But yeah, so absolutely just amazing stuff to see, you know, on eBay. And yeah, wow, you never know. All right, that's going to be it. Much love, your boy George Bigger. Peace. I don't wanna wake up.